The movie begins with an eerie shadow moving toward a staircase as Theo Conroy wakes from another disturbing nightmare. Checking on his daughter, he finds Ella asleep, then takes medication to manage the stress that has been triggering repeated bad dreams. The next morning, Susanna leaves for work. Despite their age gap, the couple appears close, living with Ella in a large home. Later, Theo visits Susanna on set but is stopped by a production assistant who clearly recognizes him. Because Susanna is an actress, Theo struggles with jealousy toward her co-workers, and many people assume he is her father rather than her husband. After work, Susanna tells him about the day's filming, which included revealing scenes that excite her professionally but make Theo uncomfortable. She refuses to abandon her career for his insecurities. Hoping to ease the tension, Theo suggests a family trip, and with 2 weeks free, Susanna agrees. They soon set out for a remote location. At one point, Susanna loses focus while driving, nearly causing an accident. When they arrive, the family settles into an isolated countryside mansion. Ella and Susanna are delighted, while Theo enjoys the lack of phone signal. Ella begins asking questions about what happens after death. Theo doesn't believe in heaven, but reassures her that their family will remain together. Before bedtime, Ella plays with her shadow until a much larger shape frightens her. Theo enters the room to send her to sleep, dismissing her concerns. After he leaves, she hides under the covers as the dark figure appears again. The thermostat breaks, leaving the house cold for the night. Susanna plans to message the property owner in the morning. The couple talks privately about their past, unaware Ella is listening. When she's discovered, she runs back to her room. Theo checks on her and then turns off the lights around the house. Susanna waits in the bedroom to watch a series together, but a door opens by itself, making Theo uneasy. He notices a disturbing photograph on the wall but moves on without examining it. After he leaves the room, the lights switch back on. When he finally enters the bedroom, Susanna is asleep, and he realizes he has been gone for hours without noticing. His nightmares return during the night. In the morning, he finds a note saying Susanna took Ella out for a walk. Following his therapist's instructions, Theo updates his journal to manage his emotional state. During the walk, Ella climbs a tree and ignores her mother's warnings. Susanna urges her to come down, but Ella instead asks why people dislike her father. After another attempt, Ella slips, but Susanna catches her. Susanna later explains that Theo's ex-wife, Caroline, died after fainting in the bathtub while on medication. Many people blamed Theo. As a wealthy banker, he had powerful rivals who wanted the case to go to trial, but the court found him innocent. His opponents, however, continued criticizing him publicly, especially on television. Overwhelmed by anxiety, Theo goes to a nearby shop. The store owner, behaving oddly, asks whether anything unusual has happened yet, and whether Theo has encountered someone named Stetler. Theo has no idea what the man means. Before Theo left the store, the shopkeeper handed him a ruler and suggested he check the angles inside the house. As Theo approached his car, a woman appeared and claimed that Stetler had already noticed their presence. Theo dismissed the encounter, assuming the locals were acting strangely.
Hi. Excuse me.
How'd you find the house?
On the internet.
You never saw Stet. Well, he saw you.
Stetler.
When he returned to the house, he immediately sensed that Ella had learned about Caroline's death. Theo was upset that Susanna had told their daughter without discussing it with him first, since they had planned to explain everything only when Ella turned 7. Susanna explained that they could no longer postpone telling Ella the truth. During dinner, the three of them sat in silence until Ella quietly placed her hand on Theo's. He acknowledged her gesture with gratitude. That night, while Susanna was bathing, Theo decided to check her phone. Since he knew the passcode, he went through her messages, then continued with her tablet and laptop. He found nothing incriminating and realized she had not betrayed him. He also accepted that she had been right to tell Ella about Caroline. Later, another nightmare woke him. Even after opening his eyes, disturbing visions continued to follow him. When he looked at his journal, a handwritten note told him to leave immediately. Then strange noises echoed through the room. Turning toward the mirror, he saw his reflection fail to move with him. Twice. More sounds followed, and Theo noticed a third door that had not existed before. He descended the stairs into a dark hallway. A woman's shape flashed behind him and vanished. Moments later, a camera flash went off, capturing him in the darkness. Photographs of him and his family lay scattered across the floor. Shocked, he saw Ella's toy and suddenly Ella herself, limp in his arms, reminding him of Caroline. Terrified, he hid his own face in an effort to wake himself, and the vision ended as he found himself back in bed. Theo told Susanna about the strange door from the dream and showed her the picture of the corridor. She insisted he had stayed in bed all night. Theo asked if she liked the house, and she said no. He agreed, and they decided to leave at once. After packing, Susanna stepped outside with Ella. Watching them through the window, Theo sent his wife a message, but her phone lay on the table while she held a different one. At that moment, he understood she had been hiding another device. Opening his journal again, he found the same warning note and realized the nightmare had been real. He brought Ella inside and confronted Susanna about the second phone. She admitted she was involved with someone named Max, a man she had met during a film shoot in Mexico. Theo believed Max had been inside the house and had written inside his diary, but Susanna dismissed the idea. Surprised by Theo's calmness, she prepared to leave. He asked her to go until morning but leave Ella with him, needing time alone to think. Susanna drove off and cried on the road, fully aware that the situation was her fault. Ella told Theo she disliked the house and had constant nightmares. He promised they would leave the next day when Susanna returned with the car. While holding Ella, Theo noticed spilled water on the floor, behaving unnaturally. He repeated the test and saw the same strange result. Remembering the ruler he had been given, he measured the angle of the wall and found it was not a right angle despite appearing perfectly straight. Curious, he measured the distance between the walls from inside the room and then from outside. Inside, the measurement was longer.
You can let go. Room is 5.
How does that work?
It is on the outside. Get your coat on.
Theo couldn't understand how the measurements were even possible. Ella, shivering from the cold, went inside to get her jacket, but after she left the room, she did not appear in the hallway. Theo went in after her and found her jacket lying near the doorway. At first, he assumed she was hiding, but it quickly became clear something was very wrong. Ella, meanwhile, had slipped into the same dark corridor Theo had seen before and called for him. When Theo opened one of the doors, he suddenly stepped into the kitchen, even though the kitchen was located in a different part of the house. To avoid losing his orientation completely, he placed a chair in one of the doorways and continued on. Ahead stretched an impossibly long corridor. Ella wandered through the shifting maze as well, still searching for her father. She opened a door and stepped inside. Theo moved through the distorted space, trying to understand its layout, but nothing made sense. Eventually, he reached the same door he had seen in his nightmare and entered the shadowed hallway. Ella found herself in what looked like another house, where a woman stood up from a bathtub, causing the girl to scream. Theo heard the scream echo through the corridors. Ella encountered the man from Theo's nightmares and fled in fear. Both she and Theo searched for one another through the endless, shifting passageways. When Theo heard her voice close by, he broke down a door. The dark corridor vanished and he finally reached Ella. Theo tried calling Susanna, but her phone was off. With no other option, he phoned the shopkeeper and asked how to get a taxi. The shopkeeper told him there were no taxis in the area. He then mentioned that the house sat on a place where another home once stood, and before that, a tower connected to frightening stories. He added that the angles in the structure would never align, and this was only one of the unusual features. Photographs of different people appeared on the walls around Theo. Then, instead of the shopkeeper, another voice spoke through the line, claiming it was always present. Night had fallen, but Theo decided they needed to leave immediately. Without taking anything, he prepared to go with Ella, but the front door would not budge. In his panic, he forgot about the smaller door Ella could open, and she knocked until he remembered. They stepped out into the freezing night, planning to walk toward the village. As they walked, they noticed a figure watching from the window before it disappeared. The area around them was pitch black and bitterly cold. They continued across the empty landscape until lights appeared ahead. To their horror, they realized they had returned to the same house. Ella couldn't understand how it happened, since they had moved forward the entire time. Although she didn't want to re-enter the terrifying place, the cold forced them to go inside. Theo reassured her, promising that he would protect her and that Susanna would return the next day. Before they slept, Ella asked whether he still loved her mother, and Theo explained that adult lives come with complications. He admitted that everything in his own past had once come easily: money, success, and recognition, yet none of it made him a good person. His life only gained meaning when Ella arrived.
When I was young, things came. Success, money, of who I was, and one that I wasn't really. Except for you. For you, I had to wait. Yeah, I'm not that old. I love you.
They drifted to sleep. A moment later, a flash went off as someone took a photograph. Theo awoke to the sound of running water and checked the bathroom, but the tub was empty. The door shut behind him, separating him from Ella again. Theo was pulled into a reenactment of his past nightmare. In the center of the room, a bathtub overflowed. He rushed through the corridor searching for Ella. As he burst through another door, he came face to face with himself. Theo wrote a warning to himself in the diary, urging immediate escape. The surroundings shifted, and he suddenly felt as though he had stepped back into his past. Scenes changed without logic. He tried to flee, but the staircase stretched endlessly, defying every natural rule. Despite this, he eventually reached the upper floor and continued calling for Ella. For a moment, he saw Susanna through a window, before being pulled back into the same ominous room from before. Stettler now stood before him, claiming to carry many identities. Theo demanded Ella's release, insisting she bore no responsibility for anything. Stettler replied that children suffer for their father's sins. When Theo lunged at him, the blows had no effect. Stettler then shifted into Theo's own form and stated that Ella was trapped not by him, but by Theo himself. To free her, Theo would need to let her go. Ella found her father and he held her tightly, apologizing for his past deception. She accepted him completely. Theo carried her outside to Susanna, who was already waiting. Holding back tears, he looked at Ella, knowing intuitively that this moment was their final farewell. Susanna begged him to leave with them and rebuild their family. For the first time, Theo admitted that he had been responsible for Caroline's death. He could have intervened but chose not to because she had made his life unbearable. Now he understood that he belonged in this place. Back inside the house, Theo watched through the window as a version of himself left with Ella. He realized he had been that figure all along. The house keeps its occupants trapped in its cycles, and some never manage to break free. And this is where the movie ends. Let us know in the comments how you like the explanation. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.